what I think that people don't realize, even if they want to do a small networking event, oh, let's do it free. I'm like, I'm sorry, girl, but like, I don't even go to free stuff.
No.
I don't want to go to free stuff because I don't want to go and network with people that are broke.
Nope.
You're going to these events. You are going not only for knowledge, but you're also going to create relationships. And you want to be creating relationships with people that can ultimately either you buy from them, they buy from you, or you can become referral partners. So, and for all the people out there, I'm not saying you need to put a dollar amount in people's forehead. However, there has to be an ROI of you going to these events. And the truth is that people that, again, free events, I never gotten a client from a free event. Well, I haven't gone to one of those in a long time, but that's the truth. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ati Greenspan. I'm a personal branding coach and business strategy, and I help you, coaches and service providers, figure it out what to post, what to do on and off social media so you can consistently get clients and grow your business. Well, hello, everybody. I am so freaking excited. And you hear me say this every week. But the truth is that I only bring people into the podcast that I'm excited to like talk to. Kat and I met. Did we meet? Did we meet in Instagram?
I think we said it was through someone else and we never got around to who it was because it's been months now.
No, because we are constantly like networking and on social media. So we connected. If you have been listening to the podcast, you literally know that right now I'm so obsessed with events. And what Kat does is so unique. I don't even think there is anybody that does what you do. There might be, but I'm not aware of them, which I'm not going to butcher. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself and tell the world what you do. But about 3 episodes ago, and I'm going to have to actually like go quote that, I talked about how to get your first event, your first speaking gig. That was literally hosting your own event. But we are talking about hosting conference-like events here. So Kat, can you tell us in a nutshell what it is that you do and how you come into this world of actually helping women with events?
Yes, of course. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Cat Roten. So my business is the event host community. And what makes me unique, because Addie, that's what you were saying, is it's very different. And I don't think there's anyone else doing this either. I have not seen it, but I am filling a gap where you're not paying to hire on a full planner, but you're also not just hosting like a fun willy-nilly happy hour, simple networking event. You're still getting to put on that dream event that's on your heart. That's an extension of you and your business. And I've created this community that has 20 plus resources. It cuts your planning time in half to support you start to finish in planning and hosting your own event. Yeah, yes. It literally is a passion project.
Well, 2 years ago, when we jumped on our first Zoom, that was the first thing that I told you. I'm like, where were you 2 years ago? And I want to ask you what I think my people will want to know the most, which is what is the biggest mistake you see entrepreneurs make when they decide to host their first event, and how can they avoid it?
First one I'm going to say is using contracts. When you are working with vendors, your speakers, and your sponsors, you should have everybody signing a contract stating what they are supposed to be doing and what are you doing in turn. And that's been something that you will be shocked how many people do not have contracts to give to those people to make sure that they're upholding their side of what they said they do.
Oh my God. Okay.
The second thing, they jam pack their event with way too much and not getting themselves enough time. Oh, I love the face. If you're listening on the podcast and you only on audio, the face that Addie is giving. But it is literally, they just put so much into it that they don't give time for actual networking, actual connecting, for you to, as an attendee, integrate fully what's coming from speakers. I love a good event where you get to like ask some Q&A, maybe give some feedback, and then you get time to kind of workshop on it, but not everyone does that.
We actually have 5 questions planned for you. I don't think we're going to even get, like, this alone is so fucking juicy. I actually want to get a little bit on how you got here, because you have been in the hotel industry, in the hospitality industry for a long time. Are you seeing more and more women hosting events and that's what brought you here? Because I personally think that there is more women hosting events, but also I think that's kind of like the network I'm moving myself on. So what does it look like from the outside that you were like, okay, there is a gap right there, I want to go help?
It was actually Very unexpected. So I come from the corporate world to hospitality, like Addie said, and that's a decade of my experience, and probably more than that, just because I went to school for it. I worked all through college in the hotel
Did you go to
industry.
school for hospitality management?
I
Okay.
did.
That's why we love each other so much. That's what I went to school for. Did you know
It's
that?
exactly why we
I
love each
never
other.
ever used I never graduated, but let's start here. That's what I went to school for in Argentina.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's amazing. I loved it. And everyone always said that hospitality management in college was like, oh, that's the easy degree when I was going to school. And I was like, no, not when you're serious about it and you actually want a career and to have a job in this. I'll digress from that.
Yeah.
But I spent a decade though in the hotels, and it was actually that last year, so it was 2023, was my first experience out of the corporate world and going to a personal development event, and it was Powerhouse Women by Lindsay
Oh,
Schwartz.
okay.
So that was my first event. I went alone, knowing nobody, and I had never experienced an event outside of those large corporate or heavy training focused on, like, I worked for Marriott, so heavy focused on like that brand, that company. And I stepped into the room and I started to meet the other women. And what you kind of were just saying there is you're in that world now that you're seeing it more anyways. And so that's what was happening is I was starting to connect and network with all these women hosting events. And I was realizing they either at first don't have the money to pay for a planner. They don't have the
No.
time. They're trying to run a business and grow a business. They don't have the time either to do all the nitty gritty details. Yet they were, and they were burning themselves out, overwhelming themselves, stressing. And so it was, I think when we're recording this right about a year ago, I left the corporate world fully because I saw this gap.
What kind of want to like pepper in there is for me, when I went to Powerhouse, I only went once. And what happened was I actually met so many women that now this year I'm on their stages. But I think that like people think that you need this kind of like superpower or like I went into this with like zero money. Like when
Mm-hmm.
I decided to do my event.
Yep.
So, okay. So you saw the gap. What else?
I didn't do anything for 8 months.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, there was nothing that happened. I was doing some market research. So I was attending events. I was showing up in the rooms of all these incredible women. Like you said, you'd met at Powerhouse. And I kept seeing this need and I would bring it up and mention it. But I had this little voice in my head that was not really just in my head. It was other people telling me you have to go for the higher ticket offers. You need to be offering the full planning and all these things because you've got to make money. I left the corporate world. I had no income as well. I had no money. I sat on it for 8 months, and it actually took me putting myself into 2 different rooms in the month of September of 2024 when I was burnt out, frustrated. My emotions were all over the place that I went, I have to make this happen. Nothing's happening because this is on my heart and it is meant to come to life. And I did in 5 weeks. I finally
And
sat my butt down.
now I'm going to get into coaching mode.
Oh man, okay.
But the truth is, though, that when you have an idea and when you leave your job, and usually I think, myself included, 6, 7 years later, I think I left too early, just so you know. 99% of the people that I meet, I believe they have left their job too early. However, and that I think that's kind of like an illusion that happens on Instagram, where people are like, you are going to leave your job and you're going to make 100K in the first year. I'm like, yeah, I don't know that.
No.
Whatever.
No.
I want to validate the fact also that sometimes you need to understand what the need of your client is, which is what you were doing.
Yeah.
So you were in those rooms, and then what happened? Did you have an epiphany of how you were going to make this happen?
I think it was a mix of the validation, the market research, and understanding like what is actually needed also, because I'm not typically a big idea person, but I had all the ideas of things I could create and how to create it. And so it was really figuring out what do they actually need right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
And that's what I did. And so I walked out of these last 2 events in September, and
Do you want to
I
share
sat
which
down.
those events were?
One was the Momentum Mastermind event, so Emily Sankata, and then the other one was Rebecca Cafiero's the Pitch Club.
Okay,
so,
I wonder if that. So Rebecca is I wonder if that's how we met. Rebecca was my mentor. I was in her mastermind. I actually opened her event and spoke at her event at the Pitch Club in 2023, 4. I don't even know. Like she's like a bestie to me.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So that was my first time attending her event, and phenomenal. And like I said, I left and it was this knowing. And I'm a generator for anyone who knows human design. I'm a 4/6 profile. I knew. I just had this knowing the community had to come to life now. And I just had this clarity that came out of nowhere. And I sat down and I had the support of a community builder who I'm very close to. I'm actually supporting her with her event at the end of April. And I was like, I need your help. I need to know, how do I create an online community? And I did it in 5 weeks and I launched it.
So your main thing is you bring event hosts together and you provide resources for them and you help them like do all the things so they can put their first event together.
Yes, first or all the way to their 20th. It's just the resources that you need from start to finish to plan and execute your event, but you're surrounded by like-minded event hosts to help you.
Yes. Okay. I fucking love it because I feel like every single person in my audience needs to host their first event. So they need to go follow you. Well, I truly believe that you cannot wait until somebody else gives you space on the table, and that there is such a need right now for community. And I truly in my heart believe that. So let's actually talk about the contracts and then I'll tell you a little story.
Oh, let's go.
So I feel like the whole thing with the contracts is, if you are new in business, you're actually probably doing these in other areas of your business.
Oh, yes.
So even if you don't want to host your first event or a event, bitches, you need contracts for everything. One of the things that I realized, so the first year we got copyright releases. Is that what it's called for the videos? I didn't do any contracts with the speakers. And on year 2, we did the contracts. I didn't have any problem with any of my speakers, thank God.
Good.
But one of the things that happened though is the venue, like we're like, oh no, this is not what we arranged. And we had a contract and we had to go back and be, hey, here it is. This is what you told us this is what you told us you were going to do. And then there is no hard feelings because it's written.
It's explicitly stated. And it's funny you say that. I actually talk about this a lot when I explain events, is when I tell you something about an event, it probably relates to your business as well. Just like you said, just like with the contracts, it is so key because it is your reference point, is how you can hold them accountable and the other person will hold you accountable to whatever you said you're going to do. And in events, you need people to show up.
I'm going to throw something out there because I think this is going to resonate with so many people. So we are actually in the process of like signing all our contracts or room block, all of that for our event in September. I can't fucking believe it. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I love the venue. So I'm super excited. And there were 2 things in the contract that I didn't fully gather what they meant. And I sent an email and I was like, hey, I need clarification on this. I don't truly understand what this means. Right. And then there were like 2 points in there. And you just brought that up. And one of the things that I can think back or things that I hear from my clients, a lot of the time people are so scared to sound stupid or to sound like they don't know what they're doing or to sound like they don't know. And this is the thing though. It's okay to not know. It's not my fucking job. I am not an event planner. I don't work in room service or whatever it's called, the people that do the room blocks. It's not my job. It's her job to make sure to educate me. And I think that this goes back to your business. A lot of the times when people don't have proper contracts or they don't ask the right questions to their clients or their prospect clients, right? Is because they're scared to ask.
Yes.
So if this is you and you're listening, girl, number 1, you cannot be scared. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And then you can be in really shitty trouble for not asking.
Exactly. And you're not the only one, probably. I'm going to add to that has asked that question or is confused by it. And it's better to get clarification from them. I'm going to add this to it as well. When you get clarification, I always tell people, do not accept the first contract either. Read through it. And I think this is thanks to my time in corporate, where I literally had a chief law officer that would mark up contracts for hotels. You can mark up a contract if something does not sound right to you, and send it back to them and ask them to make those updates before you'll sign. And a
Oh,
lot of times they'll make the update because they just want the sale. They're trying
not
to make
only
a
that,
sale.
like most likely they are working out of a template.
Oh, 100%.
So they're sending contracts out all the time. They should send it out. That's number one. Number two, there is no fucking excuse, you guys. Right now with ChatGPT, even if you don't have a lawyer, like I do this all the time. I'm like, I put the contracts on ChatGPT and I'm like, is there anything in here that I need to be aware of? Can you explain this to me in English? Like not in contract, not in lawyer, is there anything? And usually ChatGPT will say, you need to ask about this. You need to ask about this. You need to ask about this. And guess what I do? I copy paste that shit and send it back.
I love that tip. I actually have not started doing that, and I
there you go.
Love that.
There you go. and the reason for that is because a lot of the times there is things that they are not in our awareness, right? Like, what am I actually really asking for? So I'm actually going to give an example. Like, I have no problem. So originally we were told that we were doing 10 rooms at a time for our blog. And this is kind of as a favor because the VP of the hotel is a old friend of mine. Like, so he was like, can you do that? And she was like, yeah. But she sent the room blog for 30 rooms. I'm like, I'm not signing 30 rooms. I'm signing 10. Once those sell, I'm signing another 10. Once those sell, I'm signing another 10.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about. Right? So the reason for that, you guys, especially as small business owners, you don't want to put like in this case, I don't want to put myself $20,000 on the hook for rooms.
Yeah.
Hell no. Next question to you. And this is kind of goes into like my realm of like building brands and stuff like that. But like you have seen so many women at this point, right? Building their brands, hosting events. So how can hosting an intentional, I'm going to say that a few times, event elevates your personal brand and positions you as a leader in the industry, in your industry?
I love this question because it truly has been a realization for me probably in the last few months with the women I've been working with. And I might have shared this with you briefly. If not, I don't think people realize the transformation that happens when you go through planning your own event and stepping up to be an actual face, because it's not just your brand. This is really when you step into your personal brand, because you become the face. You're the person on stage. Even if you don't decide to do it,
it's giving me goosebumps because I will be forever changed after my first event.
100%. You step into this leadership role of this community. These attendees are trusting in you to show up into a room and provide an experience and provide your expertise, those of the speakers, those of the other women, potentially men in the room. It is an experience where you really have to step up and be okay with it too. And you're going to get all this amazingness, but there might be a little bit of hate in there too. And I think that's where people get stuck sometimes too, is that they're like, I'm going to put myself out there, but I'm not going to go all out because I'm afraid someone's going to say something. But also, if you do not go all out in the event, especially for you are not going to enjoy the event. And then it's not going to be actually a version of you. This event is just going to be a duplicate of somebody else.
This is such a great conversation because it's almost like I'm interviewing you, but I feel almost interviewed in some way because I feel like I have so many things to back up what you're saying. So year one, I picked a dress and I overthought so much around the dress.
Yes.
I ended up wearing it. I loved it. And I did an entrance. I just ran, whatever. Year two, the whole theme was about truly stepping into your power and truly like showing up as the biggest like shine that you can be. And I had this idea that we're Las Vegas, right? I wanted to come into the event with like, Viva Las Vegas. And then a friend of mine, she was like, you need to do this with the Chippendales.
Mm.
And I was like, wow.
All out.
And we did. I was brought in by two Chippendales. We kept the shirts on, though. I'm sure, okay, when
oh,
it goes
come
up,
on.
my DJ came in the day off with this on-brand feathers. And I was
my
like,
gosh.
there is no way. And she was like, yes way. And I had a full body yes. And I remember the two Chippendales asked me, like, what is this? And I was like, this is not even for me.
No.
I'm like, it's fun, but this is not for me. This is for them.
Yeah.
This is for them. Because the moment I do that, they know they can be themselves in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And my event is Be You Brand.
Yeah.
So it was such a moment, but I'm not gonna lie. I was scared. I was like, are people gonna think this is egotistic? Or my brain was going freaking bananas. And I was like, shh, shut up.
That's powerful right there, though, because a lot of people would have let that probably be like, oh, this is too much and I'm not going to do it. But that's what you were doing. You were showing them it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be you. And that's what putting on your own event is the opportunity for you to create a room for you to be you and for everyone else in the room to be themselves too. And it's incredible, the rooms I've been in and helped create, to see the people step into that finally, because there is that hesitation, there is that fear that comes up. And that's where I joke, I kind of am like a mindset coach usually, especially if I'm working with someone one-on-one, because it's like, no, it's okay. It's like, you need to do this. And once they do it, they're like blown away at how it turned out.
When women come to you, do they already have the idea? Do they already have the event? Or where do you feel like people are stopping themselves, or where are in their business, right? Do you feel they need to be in certain place? Because I was already a few years into business. I already hosted networking events before, like I hosted other things before I hosted these big full-blown events, but you kind of said, like, it doesn't need to be a kind of like a happy hour thing. It can be a networking event, but go into that a little bit, because I think that people get so scared thinking that it needs to be like Be Brand Live or like Powerhouse Women, or
that is not for everybody. That's the one thing. That's the first thing I will
definitely
say.
What I do is not for, I know that.
Yes. It is not. Not everyone is meant to host a multiple 100-person event. Not everyone is meant to host small retreats even. Like, every style of event is made for a type of person, and you have to figure out and sit with what is the right event for you.
Okay, give me examples so people can open their imagination to this.
Yeah. So retreat, I think most people know, usually it's smaller, more intimate, 8 to 15 people. That, in my eyes, is what I consider retreat. Then you move up to more like maybe networking or workshop style. Those are going to be your like maybe 2 to 4 or 5 hour events. They're anywhere from, 15, 20 people to 50 people is what I would say. And then you start to get into a little larger. You could consider it a conference. You could consider it still just a basic event that bumps above the 50 to about that 150 range. You're still in that kind of smaller to mid range.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to decide, is it more casual or is it a little bit more formal and larger? Once you get past 150, it's a true conference. It's a summit. It's kind of something larger that you want to consider it.
And I'm going to say, as somebody that has hosted two with like 100 people, there is different logistics. Not only just in how do you direct and command the room, in how you bring people, like all these other things that people don't even think about.
No, there's a lot more moving parts as you get more and more people involved. You have larger spaces, you have more AV, you have more room flips potentially. So figuring out and sitting with, where are you at and what are you wanting to create? What is your vision? Now, most people that I work with are typically at least 2 to 3 years into their business, because I do say, if you're going to put on an event that is not free, is not fairly simple, like happy hour networking, you're going to have to put money down up front.
Yes. Well, and you need an audience of people that want to be a part of what you want to create.
You need the resources, you need the people, and you need the finances to be able to host an event, even something in the 50-ish range, that when you start to really make it, as Addie reminded us, intentional. Because the idea is these events are an extension of you and your business. There is an intention behind it that is relating back to what you do and who you are and what you're wanting to create in this world.
Well,
And
and to your offer,
yes,
which that's going to be my
exactly.
next question, because I know you talk about this a lot. Sorry, I went to an event. Maybe it was I spoke at this event, and I sat there through the end of the event. It was 2 days, and she had no pitch. She didn't sell anything.
Oh.
And I was like, huh? And I asked her, and she's like, I just want to build a community. And I was like, how much did this cost you? She was like, about $20,000. And I was like, oh, can you host a weekly Zoom? Because I don't know you, but spending $20,000 in a hotel conference room, in all the different things. And she never did it again, because obviously she felt like it was terrible. And I don't know. And I think that people see what other people are doing. And this is the same with social media, right? When we talk about like how much money people are making, the offers or whatever. Oh, she's hosting an event. I'm going to host an event. And they have no idea what they're doing.
No, one of the biggest things I harp on is that you are not creating an event for somebody else. If you are you say I'm hosting an event because you see someone else doing it, that should not be your reason behind it. The first step that I do with any of my clients, and I have this in just my standard foundations for anyone who ever would love to reference it. It's like 5 core foundations I have. And your first one is your core why. And the why comes down to what ultimately is your goal with this event. And you have to be doing it not because you saw someone else do it. You need to be doing it because you're wanting a greater impact. You're trying to get a message. You're trying to create community. And then the second part of that why is, what is the offer? Because that is exactly what you said, is you have to have an offer. I don't care if it is the smallest little offer of, like you said, Zoom calls, or it's a monthly check-in, or heck, go ahead and sell tickets for your next event. That's at least an offer at the end to funnel them into something you need to be offering to keep the momentum going. I think
for all listeners, this is different if you're hosting a networking event, a retreat, or whatever, and feel free to reach out to any of us with any questions you have about this. But I think, and this was something that I learned on the first year. So I did have an offer. We sold stuff on the back end. We did awesome. However, number one, there is a lot of risk that you're putting up front. And we needed to sell tickets because at the time I was not super comfortable with asking for sponsorship. I started late. I didn't have a lot of sponsors. Oh my God, that was shit. It was scary. So we literally were flashed, right? What we sold, what we spent, the tickets, all of that, we were flashed. It was amazing though. But what I think that people don't realize, especially even if they want to do a small networking event, when people are like, oh, let's do it free. I'm like, I'm sorry, girl, but like, I don't even go to free stuff.
No.
I don't want to go to free stuff because I don't want to go and network with people that are broke.
Nope.
I want to network with people that are doing business, that they are well into business, that they want to invest in themselves. They want to invest in their business. They want to invest in their network. Let's actually bring it, like, you know how, like you said, retreat, networking. So what are some ideas or what you have seen that are the most, I'm going to use the word profitable, but like that make the most sense for each type of event?
I just want to second what you said there though about free events. I never tell anyone to host a free event. A coffee meetup, that's a different thing. But again, I still will tell you, you need to be charging for anything because you are spending money, you are spending your time and energy putting into it. Do not host something free. Even if it's your first one, charge. And I'm not going to get into this right now, but this is where you need to create a budget and actually run numbers to figure out what should you be charging, what is the value that you're offering in the room. It is not just the cost. You are bringing your knowledge, your expertise, and those of the speakers in there as well, and the experiences. And then you also need to consider overall, like, what is the experience? Like, what is the whole package? And I think people get stuck and they think they just need to cover cost. And the first time around, you want to break even, but it's very different further on. So to kind of go into a little bit more logistically, like what it looks like. Your most profitable events typically are going to be actually your retreats. And that's because
Oh, okay.
you can actually make quite a bit of money because you can charge more. It's a more personalized experience. So you're not per se spending as much as you would at a larger event, at least ticket price high, because you're paying for 8 to 15 people. And there's a lot of just, again, numbers. You can play with numbers with retreats. So that's where I usually say your biggest number for the less amount of time and energy. Because that's the other thing with a retreat. You have very little communication. You have like no AV. You're not dealing
That's
with all
true.
the nitty
That's true.
gritties of a large event. Now, your next one is going to be a larger summit or conference. Now, you have to get strategic here. This is where I say it's your most profitable when you really can. And Addie, we talked about this on our call, sponsorships. When you can get sponsors to cover most of your costs behind the event, or have people collaborating with you where it's an in kind, so it's an exchange of services
Yep.
and you're not having to pay for that, then when you start selling tickets, that's just profit. But again, don't undervalue the ticket price because you got the sponsors and collaborators. That means ultimately you need to still charge the worth of what they're getting.
Well, and let's go back to the people in the room, right? Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to these events, you are going not only for knowledge, but you're also going to create relationships. And you want to be creating
Yes.
relationships with people that can ultimately either you buy from them, they buy from you, or you can become referral partners. For all the people out there, I'm not saying you need to put a dollar amount in people's forehead. That is not what I'm saying. However, there has to be an ROI of you going to these events. The truth is that people that, again, free events, I never gotten a client from a free event. Well, I
Nope.
haven't gone to one of those in a long time, but like, that's the truth.
But that's going to be your next most profitable. I mean, your larger conferences and summits. But again, I will never tell somebody at their first 1 to 3-ish, 4 events, honestly, anything under 5, I will never tell you to shoot for the multiple hundred large conference and summit, because you have to build your audience. You have to build the honestly the trust with everyone that's there. It's the social proof. And I mean, that's where Addie, you talked about your first event, you were flush. It was break even. But you got all this incredible content that now you could show to sponsors, and now you can show to potential collaborators, and now people want to get in the room because they're seeing what you're doing. And that's what I say is spend still that little bit of money up front at the beginning to
Yeah.
start to build that social proof, to build the trust, to really create those experiences. And then down the road, you build to that larger conference if it's right for you, though. And that's, I mean, I will like
And
drill that to people. It has to
And
be
I'm
right for
going to
you.
say, we thought about that. I thought about this so much this year. Do I want to get a larger room? Even for me, I'm 100% honest here. I love a powerhouse, but it was too big for me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that that's what I would want for my people
Yeah.
personally. Like today, I don't know. She's been doing it for 7 years, right? So this is a completely different space in life and like in business. So, but for me, even as a event goer, was a very overwhelming experience.
No, I
I
can
love
agree
that.
with you there.
Oh my God.
I agree. I love the 150 people max. I thrive in around there.
I feel like the 150, that is like my sweet number.
It's the perfect amount, I think, to where there's still enough for deep connection to happen and to really get to know one another without feeling like there's so much happening and an overwhelm from all the number of people.
I love this. Okay, so we're almost getting to the end. So now I want you to answer a question that maybe you're like, okay, this is what people need to know that maybe I missed, right? Because
Okay.
I think that I'm almost too close to like, oh, I have my event or whatever, but I'm sure that there is things that like your knowledge from being in events for so long, what is one of the things that you feel like people miss or like they need to know that we haven't covered?
I actually did an episode, I think, about like the 3 most common mistakes I see people make. The first thing I will say is having a contingency fund for the unexpected costs that come up. Especially your first few events, you don't really know everything you're going to be paying for. If there's a hiccup that happens at the end of it or
Mm-hmm.
towards the event, or if something happens with the vendor, like give yourself a buffer in your budget and in your funds to be able to make sure you can cover those extra or unexpected expenses. The second thing, and it's so funny, everyone knows they have to give photographers and videographers like a shot list. Everyone I know that's done events will wait to the last minute to do that. And there's two reasons that you should not be waiting to the last minute to do that. One, you need the photographer to be able to read through that and like be prepared for the event, because they need to reference, not memorize it, but they need to be able to kind of know what to look for. The second thing to think about too is you want to be able to also ask your speakers. And I've actually talked to photographers that talk about, like, when it comes to speakers and stuff, they don't really have an expectation or exactly what they're doing for the non-event host speaker. And so get specific for them, that what should they be capturing for the speaker? Or if you're willing and you want to, ask the speakers and say, is there specific shots you want to make sure that they're capturing for you? You don't have to do that, but I would still get specific, because if not, they're good at what they do, but they might not capture everything that you technically wanted them to capture.
I love that. Well, and I will say this too. Even if you're hosting a tiny event, you need a photographer there.
So this one's been interesting because I love everyone that I've worked with. I have had 2 clients, though, in the past probably year, who have incredible volunteers, and they don't hire a coordinator. They don't hire anyone to come on. I just say, and it's kind of goes back to my contract piece, if you're going to have a volunteer be your head person. Well, I guess my thing is, you do not need to be coordinating behind the scenes for your event. You need to be present. You need to show up in your full energy to pour into the people who are there for you.
Yep.
That's my first thing. I'll start with that. To go with that, though, you need to bring someone in that you fully trust, that can execute on your vision and who can keep up with it and who will actually show up. I have had 2 clients now that have had their head volunteers not show up.
Yeah.
And I get there's emergencies and things that happen, but you cannot step into that role of running everything behind the scenes while also being the person hosting the event. You need someone
and I wonder though, when people do that, right? Like, where are they red flags before going? Like, we're already hosting meetings. My event is not until September. We already have a lot of speakers. We already, right? Like, but that was part of the learning process.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what you do. You accelerate that learning process for people.
Yes. I get you in and make sure that you think about the things that you're not thinking about, because we get caught up in the big stuff, the best venue and the good food. And yes, okay, I'm going to find the photographer, videographer. And then the other little things below that, you kind of don't think about until the last minute.
And I'm going to say, I kind of want to go back to the beginning of our conversation when you were saying most people put so much on the schedule. One of the things that I realize, and this is not just on the event is kind of like the biggest expression of that, but it's like, just like when we are scared to asking for clarification and stuff like that, we feel like we need to pack things up to make up for our prices or for what you're charging or to your value. And the truth is that you're actually taking away from the experience instead of actually fully thinking of that experience. And I see this on programs, on courses, on so many things.
Everything. Yes.
Agreed. Like, when less is more.
100%. That is in life. That is in business. That is at your event.
Yes.
I agree.
Oh my God. I love this. We can go on and on and on.
Oh, yes.
What I would love for you to do is tell people you have an amazing podcast. So if somebody knows they want to host their event, maybe not right now, next year, 6 months, whatever, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? All the things. And just so you know, you might see her at my event. We don't know yet, but like, you might see her at my event.
I think I'm going to be there no matter what. It's just,
okay.
What role am I going to be stepping into?
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think that you need to be there no matter what. Right, because I mean, I'm telling my women they need to host events, so they are your next clients.
Exactly. So best ways to connect with me. So my podcast is a Successful Events podcast, which Addie will be coming on soon as well. I cannot wait to talk all about your event specifically, which we kind of did on this one too. And then Instagram. So my personal is cat.roten. And then I also have the Event Host community. So that is specifically around the community. I usually live a little bit more in there and get to share more about the podcast and all that stuff on that side. But then as well, I have a lot of different free resources. People can go onto the Preferred Events calendar, your events on there. It's all these incredible events that are being hosted throughout the year.
I need to go in there because I want to look at all the events. Like, yeah.
You need to. It's a free resource. I'm constantly collecting. So like, Addie, if you know more people, if you're listening and you know people who are hosting events, like
Well,
I am constantly adding to it. So
one of the reasons I want to go in there, I want to see if I know anybody that needs to be in there that maybe they're not.
yes, please. Anybody, if you want it, go grab it. But yeah, that's the best way to connect with me. I live on all those, the podcast and Instagram. Those are like the two I live on. Yeah, that's
I
the best way.
love it. This was such an amazing conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Addie, for having me. This was incredible. I
Yes,
appreciate you.
amazing. Mwah. I'll talk to you soon.